Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, and today I want to speculate about a couple of future DLC that we're going to get in the near future for The Sims 4. Earlier this week, there was an Inside Maxis livestream where at the end, they did reveal that the next kit and the next game pack are both right around the corner. So in the next couple of weeks, we will learn more about them. I guess the most sensible thing to start off is the order that these two are going to release. So I do think we are going to get the next kit first, and then the game pack will follow sometime later. Otherwise, I think the wording of SimGrew Frost Suite would have been different. It would have been game pack and then kit. Initially, I figured we were going to get a game pack before a kit, but that was before this live stream happened, because it just seemed a little bit weird, the idea of releasing 3 kits at once and then just releasing another kit already, even before a normal pack comes out. I think it is very likely that at least the kit will come out during May. With the original 3 kits that they released, they intended on surprising us, but then they got leaked through the anniversary update. I don't know if that might change how they market the kits, whether they might announce them a day or so in advance, or maybe the Thursday of the week before, because then that is most likely when the patch that would accommodate for the kits would drop, or maybe they will still just shadow drop them anyways, just announce them and release them at the exact same time. I know the term a couple of weeks does not necessarily always mean exactly 2 weeks, but if it does, in this case, we probably will see the announcement and release of the next kit the week of May 11th. It would be a bit overwhelming, but what if they release the kit and announce the next game pack in the same week? Because then, with the normal packs, we typically get the teaser on Monday, and then on Tuesday, we have the YouTube premiere for the trailer. So if they did the sort of normal routine with the kit mixed in, then we'd get the teaser for the game pack on Monday, and then on Tuesday, it would be pretty packed because, no pun intended, the release of the kit and the announcement of the next game pack at the same time. I think that would be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit too much, too close together. So I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen. I hope they spread them out just a little bit. But what could the kit be? Well, that's extremely hard to get right, because that's already hard enough with the stuff packs because they were already pretty niche. But then with the kits, that dials that up even more. So you could guess almost anything, and you have a slight chance to be right. However, there is one factor that I think could make certain guesses more likely than others, and it's ones that would make sense as a gap filler. Because with the Country Kitchen especially, I feel like that's a really great example. There's plenty of requests for kitchen sets all the time, especially when a new expansion pack comes out. So it made a lot of sense for a kitchen to be one of the first kits. So it does make me think, on a much smaller scale, what could there be as gap fillers for future kits? And the first thing that I always think of is the idea of a bathroom kit. Because yes, we have a lot of toilets. I'm not arguing against that, but I would love to have more shower tub combos and more corner tubs, even though I am against the idea of kits. If we have to get more kits, then at least a bathroom kit I think would be kinda nice. I'm not really much of a builder though. I personally would prefer a Create a Sim kit to come out next. I would use that a lot more. And as someone who does create a lot of Sims, I feel like we could use more sleepwear, especially lingerie. It does make me think about the Master Suite stuff pack for The Sims 3. And if you haven't seen the Master Suite stuff trailer, you should definitely watch it. I know I have it on screen right now, but listen to it with the sound, with the narrator. It's quite interesting.
And the seat of romance.
Yeah, quite risque, so I don't know if the chances are actually all that high for a lingerie kit in The Sims 4, because I just feel like it is pretty watered down in terms of that sort of thing compared to the previous games, but I do feel like it is an area that needs more items in it. I'm getting tired of using the same items over and over again, even when custom content is involved, so I would like to see more new items in that area. It's kind of reminded me of how before we had fitness stuff, I was getting tired of using the same athletic wear over and over again, and then that pack was such a breath of fresh air to me. Perhaps one that is far more likely is a time period kit. I know they kinda had that already going with the throwback fit kit, but that's a very specific decade with the 90s. I'm thinking more along the lines of something that spans more decades than just one. Like, what if we did get a nod to The Sims Medieval and they did a medieval fashion kit? Or we could go the complete opposite way to the future and they do a more Tron-inspired like one. I know with Tron it's not technically set in the future, but with that whole aesthetic, it definitely screams futuristic to me. I also wonder if they might do one that is targeted at a specific age group, like teenagers or elders, because we already have kids room stuff as well as toddler stuff, so I don't feel like a kids or toddler kit would be as likely. I just feel like it would be unfair, though, if teens and elder content were relegated to a kit in comparison to those other two age groups. But I could still kind of imagine that happening at some point. Especially with teens and elders, they just use the same clothes as the adults, so it doesn't really take as much effort as making clothes for children and toddlers. One last idea I want to address is world kits. It would be quite a curveball compared to the kits that we already have, and I have seen a decent amount of requests for them, but in my opinion, it's a very careful what you wish for sort of thing, because with the expansion pack and game pack worlds, they tend to be pretty small most of the time now, so imagine how much smaller a world in a kit would be. I'm thinking 3 lots max, especially if it uses brand new assets. Whatever theme they would choose for a world kit, I feel like would have so much untapped potential and would have very limited use because there probably wouldn't be much space to work with. There's only one way I could imagine this coming even close to working sort of okay, and that would be if they released more empty worlds like Newcrest. A few months ago, I did do a My Sims 4 wishlist video where I talked about wanting another Newcrest, except this time it would reuse assets from Oasis Springs for a more desert setting. So would they do that in a kit? I would not be surprised by that, though I'm not sure if that would be worth $5 because I'm just assuming that a world kit would very likely have next to nothing in terms of build, buy, or cast items. It would be just the world and the pre-made lots, maybe some pre-made sims, but that's it. But at least if they did an empty world in a kit, I could imagine it having quite a bit more than just 3 lots. Enough about kits though, what about the next game pack? Well, this part of the video is going to be a lot shorter because I feel it's far more likely that this is going to be an occult game pack about fairies. You've probably heard about the SimGuru tweets recently, particularly the one from SimGuru George. You know that Redacted only works if you are playing with Redacted Sims and the new Redacted. And the first thing I thought of is some sort of occult because it's a certain type of sim, and it is supposed to be about a new world, because SimGuru Frost chose the idea of to just play in this unannounced world for the span of a weekend. And then there would be a new Redacted that goes along with those Redacted Sims and makes me think, okay, this is probably either to do with some sort of technological device or magic, and we already have spellcasters, so that rules them out. And I think fairies are pretty likely because of this. Be like, oh, you can only access this fairy-themed world if you're playing as a fairy sim, and you know a certain spell to access it. I have seen others bring up the idea of a high school game pack, which I feel like is pretty likely to happen at some point, but it's just, if this were to actually happen, it would probably be a hidden high school lot only accessible by teenagers, and it would work sort of like the active careers that we have in packs, like get to work and get famous. But it's just that the high school would be a lot, not really a whole world, so I don't think this really fits as well as an occult. I prefer the idea of werewolves coming first, but I don't feel like it would make too much sense. Like, what sort of device would werewolves use to access a specific world that's only for them? At least with fairies, I can imagine it being magic that they have to use where they need to shrink down to a really small size, so that it's a world that's kind of different in scale, where everything is just a lot more tiny than it is in the rest of the game. As for the release date though, this one's a lot more up in the air. Just because we are going to have an announcement for the game pack in May does not guarantee that it will be released in the same month, because game packs tend to be announced 2 to 3 weeks in advance. We might actually get this game pack in early June, which I could see happening if we'll already get a patch around the middle of the month for a kit. Before I end off this video, there is one last thing that I want to bring up, because normally we have quite a drought before an expansion pack is announced, but now that drought is being broken because we have to expect a kit and a game pack pretty soon. And this makes me wonder if the pattern that we've been in for the past few years, where we get an expansion pack in June and then another in November, will be broken. Are we gonna go back to one expansion pack a year? I really hope not. Those were dark times. I would rather keep getting 2 expansion packs a year. Or maybe we will get 2 expansion packs a year still, but then the first one of the year we'll just have to wait until July or August, just to still at least give some room to breathe to the kit and the game pack. Between generations and farming, I hope we get at least one of those this year. But if we get only one expansion pack this year, it might not be either one of them. It just makes the chances a lot less likely because we're just reducing it 50%. So, yikes! Yikes, please. Please don't go back to one expansion pack a year. Whenever it does happen, the pattern in general of releases for the year is already being broken, because typically we do not get a game pack at this point in the year. Typically, if we were to get a game pack before August, September-ish, then we would have had one already in late February, around that time. So that already changes things, and it does make me wonder if we will still get only one game pack for the year like we did in 2020, just that it comes out earlier, or if maybe we will go back to 2 game packs like I've been hoping for. If the next game pack is about fairies, I would hope even more that we'll get a second game pack later in the year, because the past few game packs have all had supernatural or fantasy elements, so I would really like to have at least one realistic themed game pack in the near future. And this does come from someone who does enjoy playing with supernatural and occult elements, but at the time of making this video, I feel like I just more urgently need things for more realistic gameplay that apply to everywhere rather than just one world. And for family play too, especially. I can wait a bit longer for more of the sort of unrealistic stuff. And we also got paranormal stuff in January. That's still pretty recent too. But that wraps it up for this video, so feel free to let me know your predictions for what the next kit and the game pack are gonna be, and if you do think we might see a change in the pattern for the expansion pack releases. And be sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with my latest gaming content, including life simulations and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!